Hey, what's up, Josh?
Oh, not much. How are you?
I'm good. I'm real good, actually. Ever since we've done this shift and we've been focusing on AI because it's been such a thing for us, it's been more fun. I mean,
It
I'm
is fun.
productive,
Yeah, and productive is not the word for it. I also get
right?
frustrated with it sometimes, and I have to remember, just like I would get frustrated with an employee. I get
Uh-huh.
frustrated with, no, that's not what I mean.
And usually the poor communication's probably on our side.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
definitely, yeah.
yeah, and that's the prompting. So, Josh, we're going to have two episodes, one today, one tomorrow. We're going to focus on AI and the future of work, as you know, because you've seen all the notes. I don't know why I'm telling you like you're new to
Yeah.
this. So we're going to discuss how AI is changing the job market and what the individual, what you can do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get started. You ready?
Yep.
All right.
Ready.
So the future of work is here, right? We get it. And if you don't get it, then this is the episode for you, right?
Yeah.
If you're like, the future of work, it's always the future of work. No. This episode is the one for you. So I guess the way to just sum it up is, dude, don't get left behind,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I have so many different thoughts of that. I call it, it's the dragon coming, and it's going to eat you, or you can ride the dragon.
Yeah. Josh, you've said that to me before, but you've had it like slick. Now it was all like, you had it like condensed and slick. It's like you can be the dragon rider or get burnt by the dragon or something like that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
now the dragon's just going to eat a bunch of people, and then you're going to go, how do
Yeah.
I get on that thing's back? So get on it
Yes,
now.
that's what we're talking about. How to
Get it when
on-
it's a
on the back,
baby.
right?
Get it, nurture this dragon when it's a baby. Because if you don't.
Walk out of the fire with the dragon.
Exactly.
Did you watch that?
I'm going to keep my clothes on when I walk out.
They get burned from the fire. Did you watch it? Do
What?
you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Game of Thrones?
Oh, well, of course I know a Game of Thrones reference. I
Oh.
thought you were doing an All of Us thing or The Last of Us. And I was like, don't
No,
give it away.
I got a Last of Us note in here.
There's a
Anyway,
dragon? Okay.
So let's get started, right? So you don't want to get left behind. And when I was doing this, I'm like, how else can I put it politely? But you know what? That's what it is. It's like you don't want to get left behind. Because if you do, you're going to have to be in the sequel to Left Behind with Kirk Cameron.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to him?
He's crazy now, I've heard. I don't know.
No, you know the movie, right? Left Behind, right? It's from like 20 years ago. They've made like 20 different versions of it. It's basically the biblical, I don't know.
Oh, yes. And he did. Yeah, I remember. And he did it.
Yeah. I think all the heathens are left behind and all the God-fearing people are taken away. I don't know, whatever. But
Yeah.
The point is, you don't want to get left behind, right? With Kirk Cameron.
No, definitely not with Kirk.
No, you don't. Yeah, so he's crazy. So let's touch on a couple things. In the last few decades, there's been some jobs that have been completely wiped out or severely limited. And I'm going to point out a couple of them. And the reason I want to do it is because I want people to be able to see themselves possibly in there. And so real quick, assembly line workers, right? We've all had this conversation about robotics, building cars, and that sort of stuff. And we watched like cool YouTube videos. Did you ever get sucked into those YouTube videos of like automated machines making stuff?
Yeah. I not really.
No, you haven't?
No, I know I have for sure.
It's so satisfying. It's like, it's mesmerizing. I watch it.
It's funny when you're, the queue lines in amusement parks, the queue line in Epcot Center for the speed track has that. It has the robots making stuff, and you just sit there and watch it like, oh, that's cool. Oh, the line moved. So you're right. They are mesmerizing.
Yeah, I find them mesmerizing. Anyway, so there's robotics, right? And then bank tellers, right? Which I didn't think until I started making notes the other day about this. There's a fraction of the bank tellers than there was a few decades ago.
I like every one they build too. They still leave like 9 windows, and there's only going to be 2 people in there. It's like, didn't you just build this bank? What was your plan here? Yeah.
I never looked at that. I just assumed everywhere I went was just older.
Yeah, no,
And
but some of the
you had
new ones,
that.
you're just like, You know, I
Yeah.
haven't got to go to one of those new. I keep seeing TV commercials for Capital One has these Capital One cafes, and they look so cool. So that's why we
was
don't
that
have
real?
one. Yeah, they're real.
Oh, I thought it was just a marketing scheme.
Oh, maybe they got me. Maybe they fooled me. Now I have to know. No, I actually think there are some. There's probably like 10. And it's
All
kind of
well,
like
I'm gonna,
yeah.
you know what I was just gonna say, Josh? I literally was just gonna say I'm gonna AI it. When I used to say I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's that quick.
AI it.
It's that quick.
I know. That's the point of all this. This is quicker than other stuff.
Yeah, and then which ones are going to, and you know, we're talking about being on the front end of this, you know, do it now so you don't get left behind. What's it going to be? Is it going to be AI this, or is it going to be barding this? Is it going to be, you know, binging this? You know, I've wanted to bing things for a long time, but you know, it just,
yeah, there's laws against that.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I think I've mentioned this to you before, is that Dr. Crow, President Crow the president of ASU, he used to give the speech. He might still give it, I don't know. And he used to say what used to take 1,000 years, you know, took 100 years. What used to take 100 years took 10 years. What used to take 10 years, you know, now it takes a year. But that was like 3 or 4 years ago, right? Now it's like he needs to add it. What used to take a year now takes, you know, 37 seconds. You know, it doesn't rhyme as much, but that's the point, and that's how quick this is going. One of the things when I jotted down bank tellers and robotics taking over jobs is I don't know if you knew anybody. So one of my friends, and they were also my neighbor growing up in Long Island, the mom had a work from home job where they would send her, like actually mail her boxes of stuff. And she had a like fancy word processor, right? And she would type it. So she would take these handwritten things and turn them into type stuff. And that was a real job. That was a job that people had back then. And it was that fancy word processor typewriter that you referenced. I think would you say it like?
Yeah, how many characters? It gave you like 5 or 8 characters in advance what it was going to be, so you could catch a spelling error before you made a spelling error. Because then you were just going to pull out whiteout.
There was a little screen about as big as your pinky, right?
Yeah.
You know, that was funny. Anyway, so the point is, what do you see yourself in there? And you know what? It takes somewhat of a crystal ball, because it's easy to look back and say, well, yeah, ATMs are going to replace tellers. But when you were living it, did you see it? Did it happen? And so with AI, it's not going to be siloed. It's not going to be, and we're going to talk about some of the top jobs that are probably going to, you know, get impacted. And so we can just quick go into there. And Josh, I don't know if you played around with coding, right? Programmers, right? What's your take on what a programmer is going to be like in, I don't even want to say 10 years, because that's down the road in a year.
Code, you know, I was just talking about how it always impresses me how like the movie budgets. You hear these big blockbuster movies that are all CGI and all this stuff. I'm like, you know, the technology's been out for a long time. How come the budget and the price keeps going up? I'm like, shouldn't it be coming down? So it's the same thing. These coders that, you know, that are coding things now, it's a code. It's a formula, and AI can do that probably better than you, because it can reference the code structure and all the information. Well, I shouldn't say probably, definitely better than a human, you know. And now, will it create something new from scratch? I don't know. However,
why not? It creates stories.
Why am I just did to myself what I tell people not to do with AI, is limit yourself. You go, well, I don't think it could do that, so it can't. But no,
I'm here to catch you.
Yeah, because it's funny, because like I was telling you this weekend how I was using ChatGPT, and I just said, hey, can you make me a QR code for that? And it just did it. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know this was a fun, you know, because I was like, what'll happen if I ask it? Like I was going to break it. Like it would say no, you know, I was afraid of it saying no, you know, whatever. But coders, you know, I'm hearing some backlash here already where there's coders going, you know, it's built to put like, and it's all propaganda, you know, it's like it'll put like virus code in on purpose and like all this stuff, you know. But think about it, it's already now again, you have people who are afraid of losing their jobs, you have people that are, you know, instead of going, if you're a coder, like right now, how I feel, I feel like we're on the cutting edge, but the whole point is you need to know how to ask it the right thing. So coders who know, the best coders are still going to be okay. However,
stop. That's again where we're limiting ourselves. That's where you're limiting. So I've seen where there's been some articles where some coders are like, oh, this is really great, but you know what? They're never going to replace like the deep coding and the elaborate stuff. I think that's a risk, right? You got to not think that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to do that. Like, know, just from as a marketing company, I'm already going all the things I know that I go, okay, well, we're safe because it can't do this, this, and this. I know it will be able to
on Tuesday.
Shortly. And and instead of going like, so website, we talked about websites. It's like, you know, one of the biggest things we create for people are websites. And I go, God, there's an opportunity for AI just to take this out because it's visual and text, contextual.
That's down in our list.
Yeah. So that I'm already going, make me a website for a restaurant that has 5, this is their product. Boom, done. You know, I know that's coming. So, and again, like you said, not years from now, not months from now, like probably already someone's watching this is going to say they have that already. You know?
Well, people are using it. I used it a couple nights ago. And I think the reason I started with coders, Josh, is because we use the bank tellers, right, as an example of something from 80s or whatever. But coders, they're paid, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. This is, you know, a job that, you know, is coveted and they, you know, it's good pay. And so I'm not a coder, right? I know a little bit from over the years. So I was, remember I told you I integrated with Click, which if nobody's familiar with Click, it's like Zoho's version of Slack. And so I was following some integrations to integrate Chat GPT with a Click channel. And so there was some code, so I did it and I was getting an error. So at first for like 10 seconds, I'm like, oh my God, all right. Let me Google this and figure out if I can. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I copied the code, I pasted it into ChatGPT, and it comes back and it says found 6 errors. And so I boom, I fixed them, and I pasted it back in, and I saved it, and I moved on with my day. It took seconds. There's 2 key things from there. One, it was quick, right? So what if that was? What if we were a bigger organization and we had programmers? You and I don't have any program. Well, I guess we do in our sister company. But then we'd have to put like an order in with the programmer, right? We would have to explain it, get on an estimate and do whatever. They would have to start looking at it and see whatever. I mean, you're talking like a minimum of days probably.
Yeah.
And here we go. And it was a couple seconds. I didn't have to, do anything. It was just right there. So, it's quick and it opens up the door to everybody to be able to do, you know, this kind of stuff. So I think the thing is we're going to get into a bit later, like we're going to talk about some things, but then afterwards, like, okay, what can you do? Right. So we'll get there, you know, in a minute. So the next thing I wanted to mention, I put them all 3 together, is media, marketing, and journalist.
It's funny because, you know, I like to say for creativity's sake and all that, but the media, like, to quickly assess. Now think of it as a journalist who needs to quickly assess what happened, write an article. They used to, like, I think with sports writers, you know, they would look at a game and they have to do the game synopsis when it's over. You know, oh my gosh, I could do that now in 3 seconds. Like literally go, here's the box score, you know, here's the game-winning hit was this guy, write me an article, boom, done. It's just... But
what you're doing there is you're saying, okay, the game's over. I'm going to take the stats, the summary, and pop it in and do it. But you take something like, I know you like to use Otter. You take something like Otter, you say, listen to the game.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
and then you just paste it in. Then you get this play-by-play, you know, that's done.
Yeah. And it's going to get really interesting. You know how I've been talking for months about there's going to be an analog world and a digital world. And I'm already hearing the divide, and I'm already, you know, we're so tribal, and I'm already seeing it. Like where I just saw Vice News just did a great story on like the professors of universities. Like, I'm not even worried about it because I can tell right away if this was written by AI. And I'm like, want to bet, you want to bet I can't fool you that some, again, if you know Johnny is a box of rocks dumb and you've read 20 of his papers and then he comes to you with this, you're probably going to be able to tell. But a new incoming freshman that comes in with straight A's from high school and comes in and gives you that paper, you're not going to know. Don't tell me.
It comes back to the prompter, the prompting skills.
And I didn't mean to offend box of rocks dumb people.
Johnny doesn't know, dude. Yeah. You're safe. He doesn't know.
Yeah, Johnny's a robot anyway. He's AI.
Yeah. Media marketing journalist. Real quick, Josh, why them? Why is that low-hanging fruit that are at high risk?
Well, just because of the amount of content. We're a media-driven society right now, and that it's just content, and there's a lot of people that do this, and there's a lot of money in it, with marketing and backlinks. And so again, it's funny. Coders are at the top of the food chain. Like, there's a lot of money to be made in replacing them and savings for companies. But this same thing, you might have 200 writers working for like the Huffington Post or somebody like that. And they go, we could have 4. And they're just content developers at that point,
If you do the math and you say I have 100 employees and I'm producing 100 pieces of content a month, you're like, well, I can keep my most creative 10 and do 1,000 pieces of content per month.
Exactly.
So I'm going to move to the next one, and again, this one's specific, but again, we're only trying to highlight. We're trying to make you see if you're going to be in here at some point, because sometimes you won't think of some of these things. I didn't on this one until you shared it with me. Paralegals.
Yeah, I actually had this conversation with a paralegal and showed them what it was capable of in researching case law and all this. And it can look faster than anybody else. So the savings to the client, I don't know if the law firms with the big buildings
they're not going to push that. They're not going to push that on.
Yeah, they're not. So, but that's an interesting wrinkle into it. And also, I believe we do get to the point where here's the law as it's been legislated, here's the translation, here's all the case law, where the law can be, yes, the law likes to say, there's lots of gray areas. Well, there's also some black and white stuff too, where some of it could be decided with that. Here's the facts, here's this, put it together. So this is going to be really interesting.
The point, Josh, is forget about the gray areas. Let's just say there is and there always will be, right? The point is that the paralegal, a law firm that has 10 paralegals, they can do it so much quicker and efficiently. They can add the nuance themselves if it's not there yet, but they don't need 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Anymore. That's the thing we want to get across to everyone is like, are you in the crosshairs, right? Yeah. So the next one, I'm going to simplify it as research analyst, right? I don't know why I have market research, but it could be
pulling data
research, right? Because you've used it, you've analyzed stuff, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is the one where it's still learning, and again, you have to know which AI you're using, what data source they're coming from, and but again, it will be. This is, a week away or a month away from being, again, it'll never. I don't think anything will be infallible because you can always teach it. It's one of those things that. Again, I don't mean to go down that rabbit hole, but I was telling about teaching. It's just like a child that you teach it the wrong thing, and then your market data is bad. But that's just like people. People are the same. But
garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So another one I put, and the reason I put this is it's a common. It's going to apply to a lot of people who work on their own, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of organizations that have corporate trainers, but there's a lot of people that do corporate training, and they're very successful and they spend a lot of money. Now, you and I have put stuff together, like training material or outlining stuff, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
right. When you use
really
AI,
is incredible.
It's quick. So that's another industry that's that's at risk is those people. I'm going to go to the next one quick because you hit on it with web. I put graphic designers, but graphic web, the same thing.
Yeah.
And I cut you off so you can tell us about that.
Yeah, no, as far as graphic designers go, it's really, just what's happened in the last couple of years from, Adobe Illustrator to Canva has changed the scope of graphic design. Now you take, you can articulate what you want in a graphic design and it be rendered, and and that I think is like, that's the one that I'm really excited about. It's weeks away. But again, we pay graphic designers a lot of money to do these designs, and they're not going to be needed. We're already seeing it. I met a girl a few days ago that was going to work as a social media specialist for a company we work with, and she was just let go. And she did all their social media and graphic design. She'd just been let go from a large firm. And she said 10 of their graphic designers were let go.
Okay, so we'll call her Jane, and I'm going to come back to Jane when we get to this next bit of what could Jane do, right? So it's not as dramatic as what AI is poised to do, but do you remember when you and I independently stumbled on Canva?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're like, oh my God, this is phenomenal. Like, I've used, CorelDRAW and Adobe, products forever. And you know what? There's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And then Canva came along, and it's not AI yet, but they came along, and it was their templates are phenomenal. They dumbed it down. So you know what? You don't have to do all this and all this. It's like, here's what you need to create this, that, and the other thing. And so AI is going to take that to the next step where you're going to verbally tell it, or by typing, hey, this is what I want a website, or I want a flyer that does this, that, and the other thing. You've played around with DALL-E, right? OpenAI, yeah. And I can see imminently where it's going to be phenomenal. But right now, I struggle with it a bit. I don't really get product out of it that I can use. Have you?
Yeah, no, yeah, and on Discord, I've run into the same thing. It's
but you see, it's right around the corner.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
Yeah. So accountants and financial analysts, right? Again, we're not eliminating the existence of those niches, but we're eliminating, or what's going to be happening is some of those people are going to be eliminated. You don't need as many analysts.
Yeah, and again, I think it's going to be the people that really understand. I think you take all of these professions, and I think the top 10 percentile are going to be okay, because they're the
the ones that are going to be okay are the ones that are going to listen to us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But I know it. But again, it's just I keep looking for it's not all of these are not blockbuster video. They're not all going to lose their job. There's still a thing yet.
Yes, but you know what? I think it's important to realize that you and I can look ahead to a certain point in the future.
Yeah.
But we just can't fathom what domino is going to be 10 dominoes down. It's just hard to do that.
You know me, I said just read science fiction. It's always right. It's fantastic. Right. It's always right. As fantastical as you think it is, you look back 100 years at science fiction, every single one of them were right to an extent.
But there was a science fiction writer, I think it might have been Isaac Asimov, and he said science fiction writers cannot write anything accurate more than 50 years because you just can't think. So when we start looking at, when we get touchscreens became popular, every science fiction movie was a fancier version of touchscreen where you're moving stuff in the air, right? And so that's my point is we can only look this far, and there's so many variables that are going to change that we can't look any further, which again is the important thing to stay up.
Yeah.
So the last one I have on the list, Josh, and the reason I have this is because there's a lot of people in this field, there's customer service reps, right?
Yeah.
Already, this is imminent, right? Because there's people that are, there's companies that are taking ChatGPT and integrating it into their chat for their customer service, right? Now add a voice to it.
Yeah.
Right, which is the voice is already there, right? There's these pieces, they're already there. You put them together and you have a pool of data for a customer service rep that is going to be light years better than the current. And I'm going to use your example of being on hold for 2 hours because they were trying to trying
to give
to
me to the
transfer you.
escalation department.
Yeah,
and then came back to tell me they had closed, the escalation department was closed, and they would call me in the morning. And then when I did the math, I went, you mean the place that's been closed for 4 hours already? And that's who you've been trying to get a hold of? You weren't aware that they were closed? So, yeah.
Right? So you got a big company, you're talking to some customer service rep, right? And he or she doesn't know, like, oh, that's right, our escalation department is on the East Coast and they only work till 4, right? She didn't know. And she also didn't know, because your problem was fixed, that she said couldn't be fixed, right?
Yes.
So you have an AI, it's going to really help with that. Anyway, so we talked about, highlighted, 8 or 9 or 10 different jobs that, could be nixed or severely curtailed. We're going to go back to Jane, right, who lost her graphic design job.
Yeah.
So what can Jane do? What can an individual do right now?
But I say get on top, start learning where it's going, start reading where it's going, what it's doing. There's great information out there. There really is. That newsletter you just hooked me up with this morning, where they're like,
the I can't remember. He does a weekly, weekly blast about some AI stuff. Yeah,
just like what's coming, in AI, what companies are working on what. All the big boys, Microsoft, Google, everybody is working on something. Boston, Dynamic, they're all working on AI right now, and you can see what they're working on and see what's the trend, what's happening, where's it going. And what can you do, or what should you
opportunities
start taking?
Can you? Yeah.
Where can you start educating yourself to get in front of it? So.
Yeah. And yes, and so I have a couple things that I jotted down. I think one of the important things is use it. Start using it.
Yeah.
Because if you do not, I'm guaranteeing you that if you're not using it, your coworkers, your colleagues they are going to be elevated, because their production is going to be cleaner, more efficient, it's going to be better, and you're going to fall behind. So my first thing would be use it. And you and I have come across people like reluctant.
Yeah. I had someone I helped just a few days ago, and my first pass at helping them, they're like, oh yeah, that's just, I don't like that. That's just cookie cutter, dry. I don't like it. And I said, what don't you like about it? Well, I don't like it. I'm talking to professionals and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, please redo this as you're talking to a professional in the industry. And it comes back and they're, oh, well, that's better. And I'm like, but you hated it and we're like, never going to touch it again. I had to keep prodding you and going, let me show you. And
that's because you had the opportunity to be face to face.
Yes. Oh yeah.
How many people are going to slowly, one notch at a time, be a little bit left behind. All of a sudden, they're going to turn around, and they're on that little box crate that the kids in the 1900s made, and everybody else is, hovering on their Jetson cars.
Yeah. And so you always say, not shy away from it, keep using it, keep trying, a lot of time in your day for it. I mean, literally go, everybody's, used to sit there on, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, quit wasting your time with that.
Yeah, I know.
Give this thing 10 minutes a day, play with it and see what it's capable of, and just, I find if you get someone to use it to improve their life a little bit, just to help me organize something, make my refrigerator list of things I need, make me my to-do list. And then they go, wow, that's more now do my to-do list, but put this in I'm a procrastinator, put it in the order I would like, it just.
So what you're saying, Josh, is that when you start using it, you're going to be you're going to start seeing opportunities, you're going to use it more.
Yes. Yeah. And again, I keep finding myself going, my head trash is the only thing stopping me from using it more. Or I went to Google something, like you said, and I went why should I Google it? I should
Google it, right?
Google's probably freaked out. I mean, all these companies, this is a major shift about to happen. I see amazing benefits that could come out of this, like human development. I feel people will finally get that 4-day work week. I think we could really get society down to a 2.5-day work week with the power of the technology available at our fingertips. Do I believe it will be ugly at first? Yes. Do I believe there will be lots of greed and lots of, corporate people going, good, fire everyone, blah, blah. But don't fear it. It's going to, I think it's going to make us a better world.
Yeah, it is.
Or the robots will kill us and then we won't care.
Yeah, and maybe just we'll be under their control and we won't have to worry about anything. I don't know. So we talked on some tactical stuff, right? A paralegal, right? A customer service rep, right? Stuff where I can put in something, get input out, kind of thing. But what we didn't touch on, back to your job of making it a better world and the 2-day work week, is there's already like farmers tractors that are GPS, and you could program it and it goes, I don't even know what the term is. I was going to say mow, but it's not mowing. Harvesting, right? It's harvesting. But the thing is we're not far off where that's more of an interactive AI thing where you're like, go farm my land, plant it, right? Water it, and everything is done. And it's a conversational. I think that's the thing we haven't touched on. One of the real powerful thing about this AI is that it's natural language, right? So when you code, or when you used to have to be very specific. I remember back in the day, I had a Texas Instruments 99.4A.
Yeah.
And so I taught myself how to code. And at the time it was BASIC. Do you remember BASIC?
Oh yeah, BASIC. Yep.
Yeah,
Commodore 64 BASIC.
Yeah. So it was a line 10, 11, 12, and you put to do this, and then you put go to line 20 and do this, and and it was and now it's not like that. It's conversational, and so that really opens the door to people. I watch my dad, by the way, when he uses like Google Assistant, and when he wants to say to play music or something like that, it takes him like a couple seconds. He's like, to get his wording right. But this is all so natural. You just say it, you stumble, and it gets it. It's there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll close out, and the important thing that we want to get across to everybody is use it. You'll explore different opportunities because they will pop up, and I guarantee that other people right now are using it, your colleagues and your coworkers, so you don't want to get left behind. Let's get on it.
Yep. Get on that dragon.
All right. Well, great. Thanks, Josh.
Hey, see you, everybody.